Tonight on CTV News, get an inside look at the rec room accusations of racial profiling. Plus see if Puxaconnie Phil saw a shadow or if we're in for an early spring. Also see the pros and cons the old town renovations could uphold. All this and more on CTV News.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Caitlin Conley.
And I'm Carson Bush-Jost.
One bar in Old Town has been making headlines in Fort Collins lately. CTV reporter Lena Howland has the investigative report.
Over the past month, people have come forward accusing these bars of racial profiling, but the spokesman for these bars say that's not the case.
It's a pretty popular spot, amongst people that I hang out with.
Fort Collins hotspot, the Rec Room, used to be 100 Octane until it was renovated and given a new name last August.
It always starts out with a fairly long line.
On the second weekend it was open, Chris Rios got in line.
I was dressed as is, all black. I have dress pants on and black boots and stuff like that. And get to about the third person from being, at the bouncer right there. And he just gives me a look and he kind of checks me out. I felt like he was looking for a reason to turn me away.
By the time he made it to the front of the line, he was turned away.
While he's handing the ID back with no hesitation, no thought about it, hey, can't let you in your pants because of those pants.
And Rios wasn't the only one to step forward with a similar experience at the door.
He told me that I couldn't go in because I had black slacks, and black pants in general aren't allowed. And I was like, oh, that's kind of weird because it doesn't get any more dressy than that because I know dressy.
CSU student Joel Lobo waited outside for his friends, where he claims he noticed dozens of people wearing the same style of clothing being allowed into the bar.
As I'm waiting in line, I saw all these people going in, guys and girls with black pants on.
After thinking about his experience at the Rec Room for the night, he took to social media to tell his story, and he received an overwhelming amount of responses.
To my surprise, I wasn't the first, because there has been numerous cases of the exact same thing happening where they just make up a dress code violation rather, for people that they don't want to go in. But when they see another person wearing the exact same thing, but they seemingly are like white, then they can go in.
We sat down with the spokesman for these bars to ask why so many people were being turned away.
So we just kind of decided to change the whole atmosphere, the culture, the lifestyle, and the type of clientele that we want. We want people who don't feel threatened. We don't want people here that can intimidate other people by their dress, especially if they're wearing gang attire.
This dress code was posted outside of the Rec Room and Yeti entrance last weekend in response to the racial profiling allegations. They say it's been enforced since the Rec Room opened in August to eliminate any gang activity in their bars.
We are trend centers. The industry, when you look at the bar industry and you go down to Denver, most people here know that when they go to the bars in Denver, it's exactly what happens to them. There's a dress code, and it's much stricter than here.
We checked the dress code for both Rios and Lobo, who had similar problems at the door, but we found no restrictions on black dress pants.
The law provides that we don't have to provide service for anyone. It's a privilege to come in an establishment. It's not a right.
Rios tells us he won't be going back anytime soon.
I just think they want everything I'm not, I guess.
The Rec Room staff say the dress code is already working in their favor.
We know it works because we've seen the results of that. Disturbance calls going down, the bar fights going down, the people being thrown out because of misconduct.
Lobo hopes this dress code will stand for all patrons.
If you're saying, okay, no denim, then no denim for everybody, regardless if you're black, white, yellow, green, or blue.
We will continue to monitor these allegations and bring you any new information as we get it. Reporting in Fort Collins, Lena Howland, CTV News.
Thanks, Lena. Follow any updates we have to this story on collegian.com.
And we are now joined with our weather anchor, Kelsey McAllister, to talk about Fort Collins' heavy snowfall and freezing temperatures.
Thanks for joining us, Kelsey. Can you tell us anything about the crazy Colorado weather?
Guys, we can't really be surprised. It's Colorado. It's 60 one day, it snows the next day, but I personally am getting pretty tired of the snowfall and the freezing temperatures. And temperatures are well below average for this time of year. Usually we should be around 40 degrees, and today we hit a high of about 15, so this is not exactly where we want to be. But the good news is I have good news coming up in the 7-day.
All right, and coming up next, see what Mr. Puxatawny Phil predicted about the weather.
And I'll be right back with more information about this cold snap that we're seeing and what we can expect for the rest of the week.
Don't go away.
Here's your check. Oh, you got it. You know, since I got rid of my car, I really enjoy walking.
Okay. Got it. Nope.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates.
Oh, you're home early.
You live with your mom?
That'll set your game back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Welcome back to CTV News. I'm Kelsey McAllister with your Tuesday weather update. Well, currently we are seeing temperatures sit in the single digits. Wind chill is creating it to feel like 9 below, so it's definitely very chilly. But today we did see those chilly temperatures as well. If we take a look at today's highs, we saw teens in 20s up and down that I-25 corridor. 18 in Vail, that's 4 degrees warmer than we really hit here in Fort Collins. 34 in Grand Junction. The Eastern Plains, we're looking at those temperatures in the teens, and 22 degrees in Lamar. Temperatures tonight are going to drop. We're going to see temperatures well below zero for most of the state. Telluride and are really two of the only places that we are going to get above zero for tonight, so be sure to bundle up tonight as you are headed out. But tomorrow, we're going to be colder than we were today. Tomorrow's temperatures, we're going to be sitting in those single digits up and down the I-25 corridor. Teens in the high country, so it's still going to be very chilly, but the snow should taper off. Luckily for the second 7-day forecast, I am seeing really 20% chance through the rest of the week. Today we had about 60. As we head into the weekend and into next week, we will clear up, warm up those temperatures back into those 30s, so we'll warm up nicely, Carson. So back to you.
And as you all know, the Super Bowl was this weekend, but the real main event last Sunday was Groundhog Day. I headed to the library to ask students about the big day. You know the big event that is happening tomorrow?
The Super Bowl?
I do not. I guess it's Groundhog's Day.
The Super Bowl, but in bigger news, Groundhog Day, right?
Yes,
Groundhog Day.
Do you know who Punxsutawney Phil is?
He's the groundhog.
Yeah, he's the groundhog.
Do you know the groundhog's name by chance?
Leroy.
No, I don't.
Punxsutawney Phil. Do you happen to know what happens when the groundhog sees his shadow?
He goes back. Still winter. 6 more weeks of winter.
Yes. Do you want the groundhog to see his shadow?
Yeah, I love winter, and I like to snowboard. Having not been from here, I enjoy seeing all the snow. With all the snow, I'm ready for an early spring.
I don't go on the slopes, so I want spring.
Have you seen a groundhog?
I have. I don't know. It might have been an armadillo.
No, I have not. I have not.
They're actually very luscious and majestic. I talked to an expert on groundhogs to give us more insight on the mysterious creature.
A groundhog is a rodent. That's the first thing.
Professor Greg Florent here at CSU has spent the majority of his career researching marmots.
The origin of Punxsutawney Phil and Groundhog Day is because back in the 18th, 19th century, German immigrants came to this country and they mistakenly saw a badger, probably. They saw a woodchuck and they thought it was a badger because the lore from the European period was that the badgers could predict the weather. When they saw this woodchuck coming out on February 2nd, they thought this was a sign that of whether there would be 6 more weeks of winter or whether there would be an early spring.
Research shows that Phil is only right 39% of the time, so it's best to probably not listen to him.
And they are predictably wrong.
And this year, Phil predicted that we would have 6 more weeks of winter, but do not count on that being right.
Parents and students are angered at administration at Fort Collins High School when they nixed a student's idea to host an upcoming Spirit Day called Murica Day. People stood in the snow and near freezing temperatures this morning, waving American flags in protest. The school reached a compromise with students and will hold an event on Monday called My Country Monday. Coming up after the break, we have an update regarding the $3 million Old Town renovation expected to occur in 2015.
And we will be joined by our sports anchor for the latest in sports.
Getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. Go to discovertheforest.org.
The city of Fort Collins has decided that after 27 years, it's time to give Old Town Square a $3 million renovation. The original design was for Old Town was to be built to block a whole bunch of boarded buildings to the north, but new renovations are a top priority for the city.
In the early 1980s, Old Town Square was built as a central location for visitors to Fort Collins. It's home to many businesses, including bars, restaurants, and shops for the past 30 years. But in 2015, Old Town Square is looking to get a $3 million makeover. Changes include moving the bike rack, putting in a new and improved soundstage, and even revamping the iconic fountain. I asked Ben & Jerry's owner what he thought about the renovations.
And the problem with the fountain is you've got a fountain that makes a lot of noise right next to a sensitive music stage, which doesn't make any sense. So a lot of this stuff has to be moved around so it becomes more sensible.
Yeah.
And I think there'll be a new sound stage, a new band stage down at the end of the plaza that's going to be way more professional and nice. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Coopersmith's manager Brian Leibold also told CTV his thoughts about the renovations and what it would do for his business.
And yeah, I think it'll be a little bit more organized, and I think it should do wonders.
Both owners seem very optimistic about the upcoming changes that will be happening in the heart of Old Town.
Other businesses and our business included, I think it'll be a good thing.
These upgrades are hoping to accommodate to the increasing traffic in Old Town and create a more user-friendly space for all of its visitors.
I also think that a lot of people will still come to Old Town Square to see what's going on, the progress of the new renovation. So I think we'll be okay.
The other specifics are still being discussed, such as designers and dates, but they are sure that construction will start in 2015.
Although specifics for the project are not set, construction will begin in 2015. Prospective designers are still being brought in to decide how the layout of the new Fort Collins Square will look.
Fort Collins City Council members may be embarking on a road trip to see how on-campus stadiums have affected other cities. Members researched similar campuses around the nation where universities have stadiums comparable to what CSU has proposed. City staff members suggest City Council members visit Tulane University and Southern Methodist University to gather information and set goals for the new stadium that will please both the city and CSU. Understanding how stadium-related issues were handled elsewhere would help address some of the city's concerns about CSU's proposed $220 million facility.
We'll now welcome Elizabeth Prosy with our sports. I'm really excited about the new stadium. What about you guys?
I mean, as much as I love Hughes Stadium with that mountain backdrop, I think a stadium on campus would be more convenient.
I agree.
And while the CSU women's basketball team has enjoyed much success with its latest win over San Diego State, the same cannot be said for the men's side. After losing to Nevada on Wednesday, the men headed to San Diego to take on the number 5 ranked Aztecs. The game went about as well as expected without leading rebounder and second leading scorer Daniel Bejarano. Bejarano was benched a few minutes into the game after an argument with head coach Larry Eustace. After the game, Eustace said, quote, "Daniel has a lot of growing up to do. I didn't like the way some of things went down, so I decided not to play him the rest of the game," end quote. The Rams went on to lose to the Aztecs 58-47. And Sunday we watched as the Denver Broncos suffered a heartbreaking loss to the Seattle Seahawks. Records were set, but the only one worth noting is Peyton Manning's 33 completions. That surpassed Tom Brady and Drew Brees as the most completions in a Super Bowl game. And that's all I can say for the Denver Broncos, other than it was a tough game to watch. But on a positive note, it is time for the 2014 Winter Olympics. These games will feature roughly 2,500,000 athletes from around the world competing in 98 events, including a Jamaican bobsled team participating for the first time in 12 years. Shaun White looks to defend his half-pipe title while track star Lola Jones attempts to win her first gold medal.
Well, I'm really looking forward to the games, you guys. Do you think Shaun can keep up his title?
I think he will. I mean, he injured his wrist this morning, but nothing can stop the flying tomato.
I think he's got it. Well, that's all the time we have for you tonight, Rams.
Have a great night, and thanks for watching.